You're now listening to Vices and Vultures, a podcast on cultures. Welcome back to the Unpacked segment of Vices and Vultures, where we share from our collection of solo interviews done by the co-hosts. What's going on, everybody? This is A2. As a musician, one of the most influential genres on my music has been the ones that exist within my church culture. Classical hymns, active gospel, and power ballad prayers are all big parts in my musical style. More than anything, my music ministry has connected me with people, one of which I've had the opportunity to know in recent years. It's hard not to feel Robert's energy when you're around him. I do hope you feel it in this interview and see how this passion for music ministry truly drives the soul. Your Instagram handle is The Life of a Singer.
Yeah.
And it is self-explanatory, but can you give me a 2-minute version of what people expect, what people should expect, not only from what you put on your feed, but what your lifestyle consists of?
Wow. So I'll kind of go back a little bit and kind of give the name, how I came up with the name, The Life of a Singer.
Right.
When I started, music has been super important to me. My parents are both Jamaican. My mother's side of the family, she grew up with 7 siblings. All 7 of them sang. So all across the island, they were known because they sang 7-part harmony, and it was amazing. And so I grew up learning and studying music and knowing that music brings people together, and music can help to change something that language cannot even try to compare to. And so when I started to get developed into music, I realized that music is more than just notes to me. Music is more than just a performance. It's a lifestyle. When you adapt it as that lifestyle, you're able to take it and you're able to transcend boundaries, transcend different people's beliefs, because music can bring people from 2 separate walks of life together in a space, and they can both experience the same things or both experience different things. And that's the beauty and the creativity of music. And so The Life of the Singer is more, it's more of a mantra. It's more of a lifestyle motto for me. It's to let people know that they're going to see, on my Instagram and my social media, my brand, my platform, you are going to see me singing. Everyone knows if they've met me or they've heard me, they know Robert's a singer. Right. But there's a whole nother life outside of just me being on stage or me leading worship or doing tracks or doing concerts or doing tours. Mm-hmm. There's a whole other life after that. And I want to show people through my social media and through my brand that there is a life outside of that. And I want to be able to bridge the outside life, with not being on stage, and also the stage life, and just kind of bring it together and just kind of show life through my eyes, the life of a singer. So.
Definitely. And I'm messing with that all the way. So can you explain what are some of the things that you show on your Instagram that aren't necessarily music related, but still tie into what you do?
So a lot of things that I show is my traveling. I do a lot of traveling, doing music, and also just traveling. I love to travel. I think traveling is really something that I hold dear to myself, because I love to be able to get away and just be able to find a space that can be able to inspire me. So a lot of times you'll see on my social media where I will be traveling, whether if that's, in the country or outside of the country, and just seeing what I'm able to experience through my eyes. But also you're going to see a lot of photos where I'm smiling, a lot of photos where I'm laughing. And that is another kind of thing that I want to promote on my Instagram, my social media, my brand is positivity. And I want to show that in life, no matter what you're going through, you can always find something that's going to make you smile. You can always find something that's going to make you laugh. And there are going to be certain experiences that will aid in the development of that. And so that's some things that you'll find mainly off stage, a music tip. You're going to see a lot of traveling, a lot of smiling pictures, a lot of experiences that you're going to be able to experience through my photos.
Definitely. Is there a particular musician that you model yourself after when you think about how you present yourself, not only offline, but online? Or is it a combination of let's talk about who inspires you. You talk about your parents, which is fantastic. But who are some of the other musicians that people may or may not know about that go into this?
Well, I love all types of music. People know that I can go from a trap R&B song to CCM real quick. It could be one right after the other. God forbid. Sorry, Lord. But it could be one after the other, because I realize that there's a lot of things that transcend. But one thing that I will say is I love good music. Mm-hmm. So for me, some of my musical influences that I can attest to is Anderson .Paak, Jill Scott. I love Erykah Badu. Love Erykah Badu. I love her.
sir.
I love the musicality and how she thinks and how she brings things together.
Yes, sir.
But then I also love Elevation Worship, Hillsong,
Yes,
Kirk Franklin, Byron Cage. Like the list can go on and on. Like I just love good music. And I love also, I think what I'm tapping into now is the production side. Like I can listen to a vocalist and a vocalist can sing runs and vocal progressions all day and wow me. But I find now that I'm listening more so to how do they get that beat? How do they get that sound? How do they mold those things together to create that track that's going to be able to take the song where it needs to go? And so I love also this, hearing certain producers and kind of seeing what the creative process is to be able to create that. So I love those things too.
Definitely. And it's so important for musicians as they transition into different, aspects, from being a fan to being an artist, to dig into all sides. Like right now I'm getting into the engineering side of things. And, everything plays such an integral part. Visuals.
Everything, bro.
We were looking at some visuals earlier and, it brings the point home of whatever the concept is trying to bring about. So let's talk about some specific travel experiences. What really stands out as a weekend? I mean, you do this so much. As I follow you, like I feel like they all kind of blend together. But so let's talk about something that's been recently happening. A really, really fantastic music experience in the life of Robert, the singer.
So actually a couple weeks ago, it's been about maybe 4 or 5 weeks. I had the opportunity to get a group of students together and go to North Dakota to visit a good friend of mine named Pastor Ricky Melendez. Love Pastor Ricky Melendez. His wife, Brooke Melendez. They're the homies, bro. The fam, bro. I love them. Shout out to Ricky and Brooke Melendez.
Yes, sir.
And so I was able to go up to their church because they actually pastor a church out in Wahpeton, North Dakota. But they also are in public campus ministry. So they kind of go to these public universities and they're on their campus and they're ministering to their students and just helping their students find that place of safety and that place of peace, which is so important in this day and age with all these other vices that are coming against students of our age group. And so I was able to take a group up there and it was the right group at the right time. We went up there and on Friday evening, we were able to put on a concert for them. And the songs that we sang and just the way it was sung, like most of the people that were on the praise team were crying at the end. People were crying in the audience. And it was such a special moment because the church was not packed. It wasn't a packed church. It was maybe 10 or 12 people that were in the audience and then plus us as well. But we all got into the space where it was a worship experience. And that's another kind of mantra and life motto that I have as well, is that I want to create worship experiences where people can come in and they can experience an atmosphere and an aura of worship where you can be able to share your experiences with God, and God can kind of impart his knowledge to you through the songs that we sing, and be able to deliver you and free you from things that you've been chained up for so long. And so creating those worship experiences are so important to me. And that night, we really had a worship experience. And it was such a blessing that afterwards I got off the stage and I had goosebumps on my arms, running down my arms. And I sat down and I told the Lord, thank you. I said, thank you for giving me this gift and giving all of us this gift, that we can be able to stand and literally allow God to be used. One thing that I always tell anyone that hears me sing, because they're like, Robert, you sound so well, how do you do it? And I say, it's not me. It's God. I get on and I say, Lord, use me in the way that you will. And I allow God to fill me. And in turn, his presence exudes out of me through my voice, through my mannerisms, through my presence on the stage and wherever I sing, wherever I do music. And lives are touched because he comes through me and then imputes to everyone else. And so it's such a blessing just to have that moment. And it's a moment that I will never forget, for sure.
Yeah, for sure, bro. I think some of the most impactful moments in musicianship and art and this art that we both do, especially music ministry, it happens and it impacts us when there aren't a lot of people around. Because you're telling your story in North Dakota. I was in Kansas with Issa, Christia, like some of our homies, Doug. This is when Doug was still here. I think it was like towards the end of my time here. And I we were rehearsing the night before, Friday night. It was at New Haven in Kansas.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And we're just having a rehearsal, and just like, it was just different, right? And you always know, like, you get in this groove.
Yeah.
And once you get in the groove, it's just, it's no longer you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, like, we get done, and, like, we're just looking at each other like, yes.
Right,
like,
right.
That's it.
Exactly. That's the experience, bro.
That's it. And, like, the thing about that particular experience is there's a danger in it. There's a little bit of a danger in it because I think about what happened after that. It's just like, now all you're focused on is trying to replicate that. You know what I'm saying? But the power and the mystery of music ministry is that these moments are not orchestrated by you. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to feel the Spirit in you're not going to script that out. He's going to script it out for you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You're not the writer of the story. We have discussed a lot of things that deal with making sure we put ourselves aside and that type of thing. And I feel like, there are ways to do it right and there are ways to do it wrong, as we discussed. So what is your mindset? Like, can you elaborate on the mindset that you talked about earlier as far as preparing? Because a lot of it is just preparation. So how do you prepare?
It's a process, my guy. It's such a process, and it's a process that I haven't talked about as much, just because I feel like before I even go into this, let me preface this by saying everyone's process is different.
Right.
Everyone's process of preparation is different. When you see, someone and you see them in worship and you say, man, like, what is your process? And they tell you, and you try to mirror that process might not be your process.
Exactly.
You have to, it's all about, first and foremost, it's all about that connection with God. If you don't have that true connection with God, then how are you going to be able to prepare and you don't know what you're preparing for, who you're preparing for, or from what power source you're getting your preparation from? A lot of times people are getting their power sources from their boyfriends or girlfriends, or the lights, the camera, the action, or the musicians, or that really cool riff, or that really cool beat, or this harmony progression that's super dope. That's their power source. Right. And the only thing that's the main difference that's between all of those different power sources and the true power source is that those power sources fade.
Yep.
As soon as the lights go off, that power source is gone.
Yes, sir.
As soon as, let's say, God forbid, your boyfriend or girlfriend gets into an argument or a fight and you guys break up, that power source is gone. Facts. When you get into, when the music all fades, that song says, when the music fades and all is stripped away, yes, and I simply come, when you simply come and you don't have all those other power sources at your beck and call, yes, who are you going to call? Yes. Who are you going to talk to? Who are you going to answer to? Yes, and there's that one power source that's been tried and true, and it's Jesus. And I get so excited talking about him because it's something that took me a long time to connect to that true power source and stay connected. And so one way that I'm able to do it is I have a playlist on my phone, and it's just called my praise and worship playlist, and it will change all the time. And I leave it private. And anytime I'm about to sing anywhere, so like this weekend, I'm leading out at Family Worship, but then I'm also on Saturday and Sunday, we'll be leading out at Christ Place Church, which is one of our non-denominational churches out here in Lincoln. And so how I do that is I create a playlist with those songs, and I'll listen to them. And I'll internalize them, and I'll make sure that I'm not listening to vocals. I'm not listening to production, which is weird for me because, as I stated before, I love to listen to the production and the vocal style, the vocal arranging. I listen to the words. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll pull out the words and I'll read the words while they're singing them, and I'll internalize them, and I will try to pull life experiences that I've been through where if I had this song, how it would have taken me through. Right. Or I will listen to certain songs and I'll say, wow, like this is something that my friend is going through and they need to hear it. And so it's great because when I listen to them and I internalize them, it means so much more because I've now taken the words and I've adapted them to myself, and I've adapted them to certain experiences that are going on around me. And any musician or artist can tell you, anytime you sing a song or you do a song that has personally affected you or someone that's close to you, it hits different. Yep. You play different. You sing different. You act different. There's a whole nother mode that you go into when you have that moment. And so that's one thing that I also do. Another thing that I do is I start to pray. My prayer life has has definitely taken a change for the better over these last couple of years as I've started to take music so much more intentional. And so I pray for the people that need to be there. I pray for the event. I pray for the musicians. I pray for the mics. I pray for the wires. I pray for anything that's going to be in that space. I start to pray for it even a week before. And I say, Lord, use all of these things to your glory and use it the way that you wanted to. Uh-huh. So that goes to say, if the mic cuts out, that's what God wanted. Right. If the instrumentation is not working, like the Lord already knew that was going to happen, and He's going to have His way anyway. Right. And so a lot of times I won't get upset as much because I'm a stickler for perfection. I'm a stickler. The Lord says, "Give your best to the Master," and so I'm a stickler for perfection. I'm a stickler for making sure everything's together. But now I've started to take this change that preparation and practice is good, and that I definitely don't want to negate that. But however, I want to make sure that in the moment, if something happens, I'm not going to let it show on my face or my attitude. I'm just going to let the Lord have His way. Right. And once we take that mode and finding that true power source, it changes the game. So I have 3 words that describe my brand, 3 words that describe my life's motto and what 3 things I intend to use to be able to live this life of a singer, this life of a Christian, this life of anything. You can use it as well. And it's faith, passion, and intentionality. And those 3 words kind of coincide together because faith goes back to that power source that we talked about earlier, AJ, that we talked about having that power source, the true power source, and connecting with Him. And through Him, we have that faith. So that faith, and with that faith comes that passion. And the passion, because I believe in something, I now turn impassioned about what I believe in because I'm connected to that true power source. And so all of these things is kind of like a chain. So the power source connects to the faith. The faith will in turn bring this passion. And in that passion, you can't have a passion that's just wild and all over the place. You have to have it come through a channel. And so intentionality comes with learning that in anything that I do, in anything that you put your mind to, make sure that it's intentional. Make sure that it's genuine. Make sure that it's something that you want to aspire to create and do. If singing is what you're wanting to do, make sure that it's intentional. Mm-hmm. If you're an artist and you want to paint, make sure that's intentional. If you're a janitor and you're picking up garbage bags, make sure that that's intentional.
Because if it's not, it's going to be dirty.
It's going to be dirty, and it's not going to be able to have the same effect that it could have. And we always want to make sure that in anything that we do in our life, that we get the maximum effect possible and that we give the maximum effect possible, because especially when it comes to music, you are bringing people into a space that's very vulnerable. Right. That's very, that, anything could go down. And you want to make sure that when you're intentional about it and that you're genuine, especially if you're leading people in praise and worship, that you're leading them on a path that is genuine, that you're not just doing this just because you have to. Right. You're not just doing this just because, I just got to sing these couple of lines and do this one run and make sure everybody says ooh and ah, then I'm good. Because at the end of the day, once you get off, like their lives and they're leading down that journey in that 30-20 minute time span of praise and worship, that's in your hands and that's your responsibility. And that's why a lot of times I always encourage people, when you see people that are in music, pray for them. Pray for them with your whole heart, because they have such a huge responsibility that a lot of times a lot of people in the world don't see. Everyone sees the glitz, the glamour, the Instagram posts, the likes, and they're like, wow, this man can sing and he can do this and this and that. But there's such a huge responsibility and a weight that's placed on singers and musicians that a lot of people don't get to see. Mm-hmm. And when they're off stage, there's a lot of things that go on in their lives that a lot of people don't see. Yep. And they don't expect them to go through it because they're like, oh, you're a singer. Oh, you're this and that. And you created this persona that you have everything together when you don't. Mm-hmm. And so I always tell people just to pray for them. And, I just tell people just to really make sure that they are held before the throne of God, so that way God can impute to them, give them that faith, give them that passion, give them that intentionality.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, bro.
The bottom line is preparation is so important for not only worship set lists, but to be the life of a singer, to live a life of a singer.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, man.
Yeah, bro. I appreciate you, bro. Got you.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Vices and Vultures and considering being a supporter of this project.
Even leaving a review on your preferred podcast platform goes a long way for us.
There is more information about this episode, as well as who we are, in the show notes.
This includes all our social media links so you can see us and not just hear us.
Vices and Vultures is brought to you by Aesthetic and is based in the great state of New York.
Be sure to subscribe to this podcast for more episodes.
And tune in next time to Vices and Vultures.